Hey everyone, welcome to the Relationship Smith Show. We are live. Hey, in your act, you mentioned you bring it up, so I feel comfortable bringing it up here. You mentioned being a Nepo baby, but when did that become a thing? Was it like 2 years ago?
I don't even really know. I just started seeing a lot of these negative things about Nepo babies, and I kind of do it in a way where I was kind of laughing, and it evolved over the course of the tour, but I'm like,
You're putting a lantern on it as well. Like,
well,
yes, this is a fact. Let's talk about it.
I'm a Nepo baby. Like, first of all, like, thank you to anyone that calls me that, because I am a Nepo middle-aged woman. Like, I'd really like to thank my dermatologist, because like I am not a baby. And second of all, if I were winning at the nepotism thing, I would not be here. Like, I would be on a movie.
She wouldn't be on this show, that's for sure.
Yeah. And that's kind of the weird dichotomy of having a famous dad in the business. Like, you know, as much as I've got to learn from him and work with him, it's been great. Like, he's never been one to call up an agent and be like, hey, you got to take my daughter on, or like he's never put me in a movie, or he did my sister. Not bitter. It's cool. But I've worked really hard to get where I was. And I thought doing stand-up would help establish me like as a separate entity. Like, thought people would realize, like, he can't do this for me. Like, stand-up is very difficult. It takes a long time to get good at. It's a real sacrifice, like, especially as a woman, I think. And you really have to work hard at it to get good. And yet, if I have any success in stand-up, it's usually attributed to him anyway. So I'm like, whatever.
I wanted to talk to you because your set was that good. I didn't think you were put on that tour just because of who you are. I thought you were put on there because you could do it. And that's what I walked away with. Like, you were really good, and I can't wait to see more. Well,
I so appreciate that, because no matter what, there's always like that one person in the audience that is, you know, and look, I get it. There's a lot of celebrity kids. I know a lot of them, and some of them really suck. Like, they do. But some of them are really great too. And some of them are really talented. Like, I don't think it's that far of a reach to think like, oh, if your dad is funny, you might be funny too. Or like, you might have inherited some of their talent. Like, I get with the modeling thing, it's a little bit different. And that's a lot of the Nepo baby criticism seems to be about more the models and some of the actresses and actors. It seems to be that they're harder on the women too.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that, but you know, the Kardashians and all that stuff. But like,
I guess I just don't get what people want. Do they want Nepo babies to not succeed? Because if they don't, it's like they had every resource available to them. They had all this and they didn't do anything with it. Or do they want to, you can't win with, you know, the world.
That's what's funny is, like, you know, a lot of celebrity kids wind up really fucked up. And I was too. I was a drug addict. I went to rehab. I've been sober for 17 years, but like,
congratulations.
Thank you. But the downside to having the celebrity parent is like, you don't get to fuck up in private. Like, if I came from a nobody family, not nobody, that sounds bad, but you know, like a family.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
That had a landscaping business or something, like, or whatever. Like, no, that wouldn't have been all over Google. And like, after that, the British press caught wind of what had happened. I got arrested a few times. It was all over the internet, and I couldn't get a job. Like, even after I got sober, you know, the first thing, because the algorithm picks like the juicy stuff, the gossipy stuff. So like,
what's going to get clicks?
Yeah. If you type my name in, I mean, to this day, sometimes still it comes up, and this is 17 years ago, but it's like, for years, it probably took 5, 6, 7, maybe more years for that to sort of dissipate, but I couldn't get a job. Even waitressing, they would Google me.
I do want to talk about that in a minute, because you were a waitress, and I just had some questions around that, but go ahead.
Yeah. I worked all kinds of jobs. And yeah, but it certainly, you don't get to have that those years where you're experimenting or fucking up or whatever, like, which in retrospect, I'm glad that I went through that because it made me who I am today. And like, I'm happy with that person. But like, I wish I could have gone through that without it being publicized, because, you know, that stigma and stuff will follow me probably forever. But I'm okay with it now. Like, I've come to terms with it. And I think if you haven't had any kind of adversity, you're probably less interesting, if I'm honest. So
100%.
100%. Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I think it can inspire creativity. It can inspire your drive to be what you really want to be. I think I'm grateful that I went through my screw up period without cameras in everybody's hands and without any level of notoriety outside of a small town of like 400 people. I'm glad that I was able to screw up in private, and it does suck that so many people can't. Even non-celebrity or non-famous people, their buddy has a camera. Everything gets recorded now.
I will say I am so grateful that that camera phones weren't around when I was still drinking and doing drugs, because that would have been real bad. But like, it was bad enough that like MySpace existed, because there's a few photos floating around, but nothing like that bad. But like, holy moly, that would have been a different, very different.
Yeah. It's I think people forget that, like, even if you're over 18, that kids are still kids. I get there's a level of responsibility you have to take for the big screw ups, but like, to hold somebody down for something stupid they said or may have done at an early age when they're still not even who they are yet, cut them a little slack, cut people a break, and like, let's try, like, not like forget everything, but like, forgive them, acknowledge that they're not a fully formed human being.
Yeah, and I think there's it's interesting. Like, people have a lot of preconceived notions, and I get it, because I almost have them too. Like, you know, people assume that if you're the kid of a celebrity, that your life was like rainbows and unicorns, and that you're going to be like entitled or stuck up or whatever. And I think, interestingly enough, from my experience of meeting other kids of celebrities and stuff, like, you go one of two ways. There doesn't seem to be a lot of gray area. Like, you either are kind of stuck up and entitled and think that everything you have is yours because you're so great, whatever, or you kind of go completely the other direction, which is more where I felt like my perspective was. Like, I felt like hyper aware of the fact that I didn't earn any of it, and I kind of felt like I didn't deserve it, and that I had to prove myself that much more. And like, there's kind of a humility to it, because it felt like like, it made me a little uncomfortable, if nothing else, and made me want to prove myself that much more. And you kind of have to like be extra cognizant of the fact that people may have these preconceived notions. So like, if you're not nice, which, like, my face isn't nice, like, I don't look friendly if I'm not smiling. I've got like resting, I don't know if I can say the C word, but face.
Say it. Go ahead.
Resting,
we'll make it a clip.
That is me. And so a lot of people would assume that that's because I'm X, Y, and Z, you know, like I said. So I have to kind of be cognizant of that, or I can come across as, I'm also shy typically. Like, unless I meet people, I'm on a podcast, or I have friends, like mutual friends, I like, around strangers, I get very bad social anxiety.